Hello and welcome to Gamer Interviews. I'm Ethan, and my guest here today is Josh.
Hi.
Yeah, he's an old friend of mine. We've been going to the same school since we were kids. He's a couple grades older than me. Oh, shut up, Josh.
But I didn't say anything.
That's the thing. Anyway, so we're going to be doing a group of interviews about Josh's personal history in games, some things that he thinks should be that aren't, and stuff that are that he thinks shouldn't. Yeah, that is probably a disjointed sentence. Anyway, so Josh, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So this is going to be an audio-based thing. I'm gonna edit in some images about what we're talking about. So probably it's going to be just our faces right now.
Oh.
So I'd like to start off with a few basic questions. What started you with gaming? What was your first game?
Well, my first game was actually a Rugrats game for the PlayStation 1.
Which one? I think I know the one you're talking about.
I don't know, but I know that my favorite part was going on the Easter egg hunts, which got really frustrating because of the damn goose that chased you around.
Was it the literal Rugrats game that was
I'm pretty
nothing
sure it was
but
just
mini
called
games?
the Rugrats game, and it was all mini games.
Yeah,
One was tricycle races. You had to find your grandpa's teeth. That was interesting. The goose had it. The goose had his dentures the entire time.
Was that before or after the Easter egg hunt?
During.
Oh. I guess you could say you found a real Easter egg.
I suppose. My first encounter.
So, why did you play it?
Because I got it as a gift.
Who gave it to you?
I don't know, I was 5.
So, what were your thoughts while you were playing, other than the fact, whoa, it's like a movie, but I control it.
Well, I think when I started playing video games, that was a lot of people's response to a video game. It was kind of still in the evolutionary process.
That PMV.
And Dreamcast. No, Dreamcast, you glorious, glorious flop.
With your GD-ROMs.
Well, it was a good start.
Oh yeah, but the main problem with that is that they made it so easy to hack. You didn't have to physically mod it. You just got the data disk off the internet or something, and you just loaded it in your Dreamcast. But I think that's the reason it got hacked so much is because the rest of the systems you had to physically open it up and put a modding chip inside to be able to hack games and get free stuff.
Code is more fun.
Okay, you lead us. But that brings up another topic. What was your first system other than PlayStation 1?
I'm pretty sure my first personal system was, I think it was a Game Boy Color or a Gamer Gear, which
Oh, wow.
was a very marvelous brick.
It was the best brick around.
I know that I had Sonic for that. I still have the Sonic cartridge for my Gamer Gear, and I'm pretty sure my first game, my Game Boy Color came with 2 games. One of them was a Mickey Mouse racing game, and the other one was Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 or something.
Nice. I think my first game was actually Pokemon Snap.
Nintendo 64?
No, not Pokemon Snap. I wanted to say Pokemon Snap because that was the first game I owned personally, but I think the first game I ever played was actually on the SNES of all things. Something that was old by the time I was even born. And I'm pretty sure it was a Final Fantasy VI? America Final Fantasy 3. But I think that was the first game I played on console. First game I ever played was a Super Mario World. The one that came out with the Game Boy, and you had to save Daisy instead of Peach, and you went to the weird set of islands.
Because it wasn't enough for Mario to have one girlfriend, he had to steal Luigi's too.
Before it is even a thing. It actually brings up another topic that I really want to talk about, that I don't think I'll talk about in this interview. Let's talk about in one of the second or third one. But one of the key things about a gamer is that every gamer has their favorite game. So, what is your favorite game, I would say?
That's actually been a toss-up for a really long time, because I think I have a favorite for a couple different types of games. I'm not really sure for console games because I don't typically play console very much.
So console, console in like quotation marks,
And
air quotes,
yeah,
but it can be console or
yeah,
computer.
but PC, I typically just play League of Legends on end, which is basically just an MMORPG.
Well, it's an RTS.
It's also it has a really bizarre set of labels. It's an RTS, an MMO, and an online battle arena.
Well, the MMO part is what I don't understand because it's not a technical MMO.
Well, it's massively multiplayer.
Well, but only in short
online.
instances. An MMO, you'd think of something like WoW or RuneScape, something
In which you are always connected to other people.
Yeah, and with a League, more like instant space. Like it would be like you take the certain part of WoW, the instances, and then you just build a game off of those. So I think Dota came first, didn't it?
I'm actually not sure.
But the way Dota was based off of, I'm pretty sure it's based off of instances and protecting your agent, which is Dota is defensively agents, for those who don't know acronyms. And then when Dota 2 came out, its competitor was League, which I'm fairly certain came out like a year or two after the original Dota. And it's fairly rare to have a successful RTS Battle Arena MMO as a standalone thing. Like, WoW's Battle Arena and the instances were fairly successful, but it was only when they first came out. I'm fairly certain, and then after a while they sort of fell out of popularity.
Yeah, well, League of Legends was actually based off of a side quest in Warcraft 3. Hence, one of the characters in League of Legends being extremely strongly based off of Vivi.
Now, I'm going to sound like a complete and utter idiot.
Ghastly wizard.
I'm going to sound like a complete and utter idiot at this moment, but I constantly hear the title Warcraft 3 and Warcraft 2 and Warcraft, but I don't actually know what those are.
I'm pretty sure it's just World of Warcraft just shortened, and I'm not entirely sure if it's different.
So would you say they're like the first update patches of WoW?
It's some of the earlier material.
Okay, that's what I originally thought.
I think it's their first extensions, actually.
We're probably going to get somebody commenting, "You don't know anything."
Probably.
That's my YouTube for comment voice. And yes, everyone who hears that is probably getting ticked off, but it's true. I use that as my voice too when I'm commenting. But so with League, what draws you to it?
The fact that every time you play a game, no matter, you can play a game with the exact same character every game, and no matter how many times you play that character, every game is going to be different. You're going to be against different people, playing against different champions, with different champions, and there are actually an infinite number of different possible combinations that you can create.
I don't think infinite number.
Okay, it's not infinite.
Yeah,
It's not
but just
infinitely infinite. It's minorly infinite.
we don't have a list yet. Is what you're getting at. Like, I've played
because
League,
the champion set is ever expanding.
but
We hope.
hope
Right, please.
till Blizzard buys it and shuts down the servers. No, kidding. I don't think Blizzard would buy it. That's what a StarCraft and WoW is for. But anyway, one of the biggest parts about like having a favorite game is that you always hate something about it.
Definitely.
So
The community. League's community is pretty terrible sometimes. You've got the occasional nice guy who doesn't get his call and doesn't complain about it, or gets his call and lets somebody else take it. And then you've got the people who instantly lock in as the champion they want. Teemo.
I did that the first couple of matches until I learned better.
It's so much better when people just listen, which is why I made support, because then I know that nobody's going to call my role.
Yeah, but support is also really difficult, isn't it?
If difficult is having everything blamed on you, being blamed for not warding when you only have a 3 ward limit, and if you're a support that doesn't have a heal, getting blamed for not healing somebody, yes, it's a little bit difficult. But once you mute your entire team, it's not that bad.
I'll take that into mind next time I play. But so that's your favorite game. And with a lot of popular games, there are some quote-unquote clones of it, Dota 2, some would call a Diet League. And having played both of them, I find it the opposite. League is a lot more competitive, but Dota 2 has a lot more stuff that's a lot more irritating and confusing.
Blade mail.
Okay, don't use this blade mail, it's extremely useful.
I'm just gonna play that one champion who already returns damage, run into the entire enemy team, blade mail, and they're all dead. Oops, sorry.
With Vampiric Strike. But anyway, I'm saying a lot. Note self cut that. But a lot of the time, you have people who like the opposite game, and how do you deal with them?
You mean your classic, no, Dota's better! No, League is better. that kind of little argument where we butt heads.
Yeah.
If you play Dota, your turrets suck. If you play League, your turrets also suck. Get over it. If you like the bizarre graphics of Dota, then keep them. Play that game. If you like whatever's in League, then play that.
So,
or you can play both.
Like so.
I have played both of them, except the only character I've ever played in Dota is Dragon Knight.
But Dragon Knight is fairly good for what he is.
I built him pure tank, because I didn't know how to play. It's my first game.
Yeah, that... Probably the biggest part about playing an online game is the fact that you don't know what to expect.
Yeah, you don't know who you're going to be talking with, or how your teammates are going to react to certain situations.
And that brings up another topic. Online gaming was a lot different from, personal gaming. Say...
Pokemon.
No, with the new Nintendo Wi-Fi Center. TM, trademark, blah, 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 blah. Not saying anything's bad about Nintendo. I love Nintendo. I've been a Nintendo gamer since I was, 3 years old. That's saying something since that's over half my life, which is clearly why I'm doing this. But, ramble over, Pokemon has become more of a social center too now, because with Wonder Trading, the Wi-Fi Center, online battles, it's becoming more
yeah, you can even enable voice chat and bash people about their Pokemon. You have a Togepi? You suck.
just wait until it becomes a Togekiss. Oh, cool.
I'd rather have Togepi because it's not overly obese. On to Snorlax.
Who isn't the biggest Pokemon anymore. I was actually really sad when that happened. Wailord,
Wailord, why you do this?
why you exist? I mean, isn't it enough that you're the king of the sea? Can't you just let Snorlax be fat?
How is he the king of the sea?
I'm pretty sure he's the biggest Pokemon, physically.
Hey. You can't forget Love Disc.
Love Disc is terrible.
We should forget Love Disc.
Moving on. But back to what I was saying, the online aspect of gaming has changed a lot from think of some of the original Ultimas on the Dreamcast and similar systems. That was the, again saying a lot, but that was what started most people with online gaming. Wouldn't you agree? Having the basic game that would allow you to play with other players, but it didn't force you to if you didn't want to.
Yeah, I also think that one of the things that drew in a lot of people to begin playing video games was games like Metroid, where up until the very end of the game, where Samus reveals that she's a girl, all these guys that were playing the game thought they were just kicking ass as a guy, and then
The badass bounty hunter
they
too.
find out that it's a she, and that's when people finally started to realize, hey, this should be happening more often. Let's make Lara Croft and all these other super awesome video game characters.
Well, I think that topic evolved from like how people were sick of tired of having like the damsel in distress stereotype plastered on every girl.
Why should they have to be saved?
Yeah, and like I think that's another big thing that started girl gamers happening more. Like now they're up to 30% of the gamer population is just
Actually, PAX East last year was I think it was about 60% female.
mostly cosplayers. Yeah.
But alas,
But, like
a fellow nerd alike.
exactly, like a good like target group is the frag dolls, like girl gamers that didn't take any crap because they were girls and they were gamers. That was probably like the main thing that spurred more girl gamers to take off. Like I haven't checked on what the frag dolls are doing lately, but I'm fairly certain they're still doing stuff with games.
Just to be clear, when we say girl gamers, we're not talking about a girl who poses, I would say, with an Xbox controller
Josh,
and pretends to be able to play video games.
that moment when you realize that picture that's used to advocate for girl gamers is a girl playing with an Xbox controller for PS2 while playing Mario Kart. Yep. Totally going off topic here, but staying within the bounds of what we're trying to talk about.
Okay, we're gonna cut this part out, but I can see on the log where I cracked my finger.
Note to self, cut this entire part out, and restart thought. Anyway, getting back to what the main topic is supposed to be. Games, like, what is, like, to start with, your favorite genre? Starting again, what is your favorite genre?
I also think that I have several different favorite genres.
Like, what is the one you play the most often?
RTS. But
Okay.
there are other genres that I enjoy equally. I just seem to dedicate more time to certain games because of elements of them that I find more interesting than elements that are in other games. But
Which is understandable.
I do enjoy my indie game now and then.
Like, for instance, Binding of Isaac, Shovel Knight, Super Meat Boy, Fez. Fez 2.
I don't really like Super Meat Boy very much.
I think Super Meat Boy
And
is
then there are the occasional first-person shooters that I really like, but
like
it takes a lot for a first-person shooter to captivate me. Like Haze, I enjoyed Haze a lot for PS3, and Perfect Dark Zero for Xbox 360. I really enjoyed that game too.
I wonder why. Anyway, like another like a first-person shooter that I like that came under fire when it first came out. It had a lot of crap, and then people started to admit they liked it. Was like BioShock Infinite. I like that. Like there are some parts of it I don't like the fact you can use both your plasmid. Well, it's not plasmid anymore; it's vigor. But you can use your vigor and your main weapon at the same time, which that added a higher degree of difficulty to the older games because you had to constantly think, wait, what am I going to use right now? Should I be using this instead of my gun? Should I have this out more often? How will I get more Eve? Where's the nearest Eve dispenser? Can I use all of this at once? It added a lot more difficulty through not just cheap difficulty, like throwing a bunch of enemies at you. Though it did do that, I admit. BioShock and BioShock 2 were cheap when it came to just ramping up enemies. But they added sort of a fairness to the difficulty that made you think on your feet more. Like how there's a limited number of upgrade stations. Though they were free, you could only upgrade like half of your weapons all the way. So you constantly had to think, which one am I going to use more now versus which one am I going to use more later? Which one needs the better upgrade? Which one would do better on its own
Yeah,
still?
which one has better upgrades available, and just different elements of the game that make it either easier or more challenging
Yeah, like
based on what upgrades you choose.
yeah. And another big thing about BioShock is that the two hardest achievements in my mind are big brass balls and I forget what it's called, but the one where you have to go through BioShock Infinite in 1911 mode and not buy anything. Well, at least from the dollar bill or the Dollar General. The thing that took over Circus of Value in BioShock Infinite. But the reason those two are difficult isn't because they ramp up the difficulty, which they do, like they change the enemy AI and stats, but the reason they're difficult is that they challenge your skills personally. Like, you can play through either of them on either mode, 1911 mode, or, I forget, what's the hardest mode in Bioshock 2? Like, hard? I think that's still before they gave stupid names to them. Not saying that 1911 mode isn't stupid, but it's a bit of a mouthful. Why don't you just say hard or extreme difficult? But
Veteran.
But the difficulty there didn't stem from the fact that you can't use money. In 1911 mode, you can't use all your money, or else the next time you die, you have to restart. And in Bioshock 2, with Big Brass Balls, when you're trying to get that achievement, you can't die. Period. And that's where the difficulty comes in. It challenges you to think a lot more. You have to go through the game at least once in order to get the ability to play on the hardest difficulty, and so it's expected you know where everything is, you understand what the enemies are, and you just understand what's being asked of you. So when they ask you to not die at all, that's a tall order. When I played through Bioshock on the first time, I think I chose normal, and I got wrecked hard. I'm gonna be honest here, I play on a PC, but I've grew up using consoles, so I'm still getting used to the QWERTY setup, WASD. Yes, I know QWERTY is for typing, not for gaming. But
QWERTY is for gaming.
Shut up. But the setup is different from what I'm used to, and that does add a bit of difficulty to me. But also the fact Smite is fun.
Smite is fun.
But the difficulty that's added doesn't make it seem impossible after you do it. The point of the achievement of Big Brass Balls is to make something seemingly impossible to show how much you've grown from when you started the game. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
You seem reluctant to say yeah, so what do you think?
I'm not really sure. I've never actually played through any of the Bioshock games, but I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about with adding a different game mode to further test your ability to play the game, which is an interesting element to add to a game, and it makes it so that it can captivate you longer. For if there's a real test of, hey, how good am I really at this game? Was it the game that was making it easy, or was I making it easy?
And I think that's an important part of any game, is to show growth with the player.